Uh, Welcome to Bayou Geeks. Uh, I'm your co-host Bobby Behar, and with me, as always.
I'm Jason Elliott.
So this episode is going to be a lot different. With the events of the past few weeks, really. Uh, Jason and I have a few things to get off our chest. Recently, due to the murder of George Floyd, and I have my notes here, so I'm going to be looking over here. Our friends at Colt 45, who are amazing guys, presented all of us within the podcast community to do something meaningful with our voice. Jason and I have both taken a week to cultivate something that would at least try and sound profound. These are troublesome times, and to come out the gate half-cocked would be an injustice to these, to what we're trying to do here. There was never any doubt Jason and I would include ourselves in the whole podcast blockout. But it has been difficult putting pen to pad. Now, first off, this is not to belittle or knock the good men and women who wore the badge to protect us. And there are good cops, no ifs, ands, or buts. We've seen over the past week numerous police officers who have stood with and by the protesters. They've kneeled, they've marched. Houston's own police chief let his voice be heard. And it was a beautiful voice. It is the corrupt and the hateful and the evil that hide behind the badge that we want gone. This is to bring voice to the voiceless. A person is only truly gone when we forget their names. There is a reason for Black Lives Matter, and ESPN reporter Bomani Jones said it best. When you have a broken finger, you don't say, well, what about the other four fingers? No, you focus on the finger that needs attention. And that is what's happening right now. No one's ever said, Black Lives Matter more. No, it's Black Lives Matter. That's the bare minimum. It's the bare minimum.
They matter in the first place. That's what they're saying. To me, I like that we as a nation, and I've been watching, protests all over the world. Black Lives Matter, George Floyd. He was a Houston guy too.
Yeah.
Houston rapper. And I'd never really heard of him, but he was a guy, that, was a Houston native. I've been watching all the protests, not all of them good, a lot of, rioting, fighting with the cops. I mean, we had one yesterday here in Houston, and it was probably the most organized, peaceful protest I've seen in a while.
Yeah. The systemic racism runs deep in this country.
Oh, a lot of ugly history. And, I was talking with my boss about it, and it's almost like, this one now, it seemed to, like the senseless deaths, of Black, citizens at the hands of, white cops was kind of dying down. And then this one I don't know. I think this one's been bubbling beneath the surface, mad as hell and not going to take it anymore.
I know the reason why this one struck such a deep chord is because we saw the video.
Yeah.
And for me, when Brandon presented me with this, I actually was thinking, well, maybe I should be quiet and let you speak. And he and some other Black friends of mine were like, no, you're the one that needs to speak. We've been speaking. Jason has been speaking. The systemic racism in this country runs deep, and I for one am sick and tired of being sick and tired from my Black American brothers and sisters. Our family and friends for far too long have had to give their children the talk, which is how to speak to police, how to be calmer than the police, how to be polite when faced with overwhelming hostility. And it's become just way too much. I know and understand all too well the privilege I was born into. I'm cis, straight, white male. I don't get weird looks. I can go jogging without fearing for my life from two wannabe cops. I can make a mistake with a $20 bill. I can sleep in my bed. I can fall asleep on my couch. I can live without fear. When I get pulled over, my biggest fear is how much that ticket is going to cost and if my insurance is going to go up. I never have had to fear for my life and if I'm going to walk away from that situation. We know, you and I both know that there isn't much we can do with our platform, but we've always said that big or small, we would use our voice.
Yeah.
We would use our voice with it. And this country has so much potential, yet we keep tripping over ourselves. There are great men and women out there striving for better days and but yet all I've been reading lately is, I fear for my sons. I haven't stopped crying. When will this stop? And I really wish I knew the answer. I watched a video the other day of like 3 generations of black men crying in the fact that each generation has had to face this same shit over
Yeah,
and
I
over
mean,
again.
you kind of ask yourself, when does it end? I mean, here we are, 2020, 21st century, and it's like 1963 all over again. You know, the thing is, you're not being lynched, but it's like it's being taken up a notch where cops are like, okay, you know what, fuck this guy. I'm gonna kill him. I mean, and I know that's not their intention, but when you use your authoritative power to like put your knee on a guy's neck and he's telling you he can't breathe, you have to listen to that.
Yeah.
The thing is, I mean, plus, you kill somebody, what do you think? I mean, it's all on video. These cops wear body cams and everything. Do they not think that this is gonna, show up somewhere?
That's the issue. I mean, we as a society, Americans, I think overall, aspire to be that beacon on the hill.
Or at least we try to be.
We try to be, but we try and be that beacon of hope for others. But how can we be that beacon of hope for others when we can't even be a beacon of hope for our own people? We are still way too small-minded.
Yeah, in this country, I mean, the thing is, not to get political, but we also have, a president, in office,
Oh,
that has these, racist views, about, oh, we're gonna build a wall and this and that, and I mean,
they called Mexican. He said Mexicans were bad hombres and racists and
yeah,
rapists.
and then the comments that he made last year about shithole third world countries and all that kind of stuff. I mean, hell, dude. I mean, this country was founded on people from those very same countries.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was made. I mean, come on, dude. I mean, the thing is, okay, you had the slaves who came over, then you had, the Asians who came over, built the railroads.
And the Mexicans who were here already when they just pushed the border
and
over.
the Native Americans.
And the Native Americans who were here first. I really wish I could offer something more inspiring, but tragically, this won't be the last time we're filled with heartache
No.
and rage that's so justly felt. The reason I know that you and I both love comics and love what we do.
It's all inclusive.
It's all inclusive and it's good versus evil. At the end of the day, there's an end. Even if the saga continues, there is an end. The bad guy loses, the good guy wins.
And in some cases, evil wins. That's just like the way it is.
I think that's why so many in the Black community are so rightly frustrated and angry, is that we have seen way too often the bad guys win.
Yeah.
And
no justice.
No justice. And with in Austin, I heard the chant "No justice, no peace," and it's true. You can't truly be peaceful when you know that if there is something that could happen to you, there's no justice. A buddy of mine I went to high school with, I saw on his Instagram feed, and I chatted with him like, "Hey, are you okay?" he went for a jog, and the security guard followed him.
Yeah.
And he goes, "This happens about 2 to 3 times a month." And I can't put into words the anger that I felt reading that, or the anger I have seen, just within myself. Because talking to you or talking to James, who's a friend of ours, and knowing, and this has been going on since high school. I've seen my black friends get odd looks
Oh yeah.
since
I
then.
still get I still get them. I mean,
Yeah,
I
and
can even recount back in 2005 when I got back from LA, and I had applied for a job at this place, a little vacation place. I'm not going to say the name because the thing is, look, I
right,
mean, we're not here to smear people, but the thing is, there was a secretary working there, and she was a white lady, and I told her, I was like, hey, let so and so know that I'm here. Okay, yeah, 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 yeah. I sat there for 5 minutes while she talked on the phone, and didn't even let the guy know that I was here. It was I got there like at 4:50, and luckily the place was just only. I was working at the Houston Housing Authority, and it was only like a little short drive.
right,
And so I'm just like, okay, this woman here, it's not going to take that long for her to
right.
do the job, to just call this guy and let him know that I'm here for the interview. And so like I let 5 minutes pass, and I just called him up and I was like, hey, I'm here. And I'm just thinking like, was that so hard? And then like that very same year, um, I was working, and I'm doing my work, and there was another team in there with ours, and then they would come in and they would just be so nosy. They would look at see what we're doing,
Right.
and so I can remember they emailed my boss and said they didn't like the way that I was sitting in my seat and that I needed to be removed from my position, and that pissed me off, and it pissed him off too. And he was just like, why are they so worried about what you're doing? You know, and I wanted to go confront him, and he and the admin there was just like, you know what, don't do it, because if you do, you're gonna get fired. You're gonna get removed, and that's what they
Right.
want. So like the thing is, I mean, I just didn't even say anything. He had me move over to the next little desk there, so they couldn't see what I was doing. But just the fact that they would do something like that, wouldn't showed me back in 2005 that racism was never ever ever going to go away. Or when I applied for a job, and they see the way I carry myself. I'm not some stereotypical black dude, or what they've seen in the media, what the media teaches them that black people are like. Then it's kind of like oh, and they look at me, and they just wonder loudly, oh, you went to UT? I'm like, yeah, like
Like a
yeah,
number of other black people, exactly.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. It's like I'm just thinking to myself, yeah, it's not going away.
no, and going back to us, the reason why we love comics, and this is more of, I guess, a call. It's time for a lot more good and a lot less bad. And I say this mainly to anyone of our fans who isn't black. It's time to stop being apathetic. It's time to stop with the
Yeah,
apathetic nature. It's to stop sitting on the sidelines and to get in the game. And granted, we know if maybe you can't march, maybe you don't have a lot of money, you can't donate. There are plenty of organizations to donate to, and we'll put that on our pages. Uh, Reach out to your black friends, ask them how they're doing.
yeah.
I mean, sometimes just having being able to vent to someone. Uh,
And here's the thing, I remember we covered this in my last semester. There was a class, it was Stars and Fan Culture, and my friend Mark Cunningham, was a great guy. He went to UT with us. He was there when we were there. He was a teaching assistant,
okay.
and we had a Stars and Fan Culture, and I sat in on his class one day, And somehow, like, I forget how it happened, but the issue of race came up. And oh boy, I mean, so many people were so uncomfortable because it was a mainly white class. And, so many people were so uncomfortable. And he even pointed out, he was like, I know some of you were uncomfortable. He's like, but it's a talk that, you need to have. It's something that we do need to have, and
Right.
I would love to get his perspective on this. I wonder if he marched or anything, in Austin, or protested in Austin. But, he was always, trying to get people, have those, those conversations that they didn't want to have because you're going to be confronted with it eventually.
It's true. When I taught for 6 years, it was uncomfortable for a lot of the students because I had a majority white class.
And a lot of them, they probably have what, maybe two black friends, I mean,
It's almost like,
but being
you
but being
know.
serious,
No, I know you're being. I know you're being serious. That's
yeah,
that's
they're not around a lot of black people,
no.
and probably wouldn't even try to,
It,
because a lot of them grew up in a bubble. They grew up in, like, suburban area
yeah.
where there wasn't, a lot of people of color. So what they went off of was what they saw in film and TV. That black people can be loud and boisterous, uneducated, and then when they finally meet one that goes against that stereotype, that they get the bug eyes or something like
Oh
that.
my God, you sound so articulate. I'm like,
Yeah. They, like, if you know something that they don't, or something that, I guess, if like about, I guess, heavy metal music, and I've encountered this before too, and they'll just look at you bug eyed and like, yeah, the thing is, hey, rock and roll was created by blacks. I mean, where do you think it came from?
it's true. It's true. The blues is the foundation of rock and roll.
Yeah, all it is, heavy metal is sped up.
Yeah, yeah. Um. So I mean, the only thing I really had left to say was a quote by Edmund Burke. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. And I hope, I hope that that phrase gets pushed out more. I hope that as people, and it's really, really sad that the only time people actually do anything is when it affects them personally.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, they kind of look at it as, and I'm seeing, a lot of people stepping up on Twitter, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. I mean, Mark Wade had a very, very good point. He said that at this point, you know, Trump's silence says a lot of things, but what could he say that would really,
It's true.
be of importance, or of substance?
Well, and I'm seeing a lot from various people from a wide range. John Boyega's
Oh
speech
yeah, I saw his.
was amazing. Jamel Hill, former ESPN, now with the Atlantic, has been killing it. But it always, for me, I always go back to see what my favorite comic book creators are saying. Jimmy Palmiotti, Tom King, Mitch Schroer. I mean, the Kuberts, like, they're all putting out beautiful statements.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, it's Black Lives Matter, and it's time for us to step up.
Yeah, and you also had some dumbass comments too. The Denver Broncos head coach. I'm sure you saw that one.
I saw that.
He said that, oh, I haven't seen any racism in the NFL. I'm like, how can you not? I'm like, come on, dude. The conversations that the owners probably have with you, the numerous conversations you have with the owners.
He backtracked. He said, he said I wasn't specific enough. I apologize. I'm like, oh, he stepped in it there. I did like Cincinnati's new quarterback, Joe Burrows. He said we need to do more.
Yeah, we got to do better.
Yes, that is true.
And also there's a video on Twitter that says, hey, they're laughing. The rest of the world's laughing at us.
Yeah, it is way past time for us to step up.
Why? Yeah, and they're laughing at us. It really says a lot. Because the thing is, a lot of times, that's why other countries have such a negative view of Americans because we prove time and time again we just make the wrong choices sometimes.
Yeah. Um. Well, that's all I have to say. Jason, are you good? You got
Well,
any
you know
more?
what? I'm going to say this: looting and rioting is not a great counterpoint to what's going on. Don't sit up here and destroy your own community. There's a bunch of people, who are looting and rioting. Saw black
Well,
people, but you've had some white people doing it too. And the video that we talked about before we recorded, where you had like a white kid, busting open windows with a skateboard. I mean, there's white people rioting too, but I don't think riots, from all sides is a good thing. I mean, look, protest peacefully. This here, I mean, I know that this was about violence, but you don't fight violence with violence.
and Killer Mike made that statement beautifully. What was it, Monday or Sunday night with Atlanta's mayor. The sad thing is a lot of the looting and rioting. I mean, granted, there are some that are doing it just but is actually like white nationalists trying to bring negative attention to to otherwise peaceful protests.
Yeah,
Like I told you before we started filming, Houston had 60,000 people protest, 200 arrested. That was a 0.0033% arrest rate. That's fantastic.
yeah. I mean, I really didn't. I mean, I saw some people fighting with the cops. I had a friend of mine go out there, and I just told him, hey, be careful. And he had like where his video started. I mean, when I started watching, it was a girl who was being told to chill out and everything, and you had some people out there showing out. I
Yeah.
mean, you're gonna have people out there, 60,000 people. You're gonna have a few who just go out there just to start trouble. But yeah, I mean, just stop the rioting, stop the looting. I mean, and you had like people like going to shoe stores and getting Jordans and all these other expensive shoes. I'm like, okay, what sense does this make?
Yeah. And you will always have the bad
So,
apples.
yeah, of course.
But
But the
if
good far
90%,
outweigh bad, here last night.
if you have 5% bad, 95% good,
You're doing great.
yes, you're doing great. Don't focus on the bad, focus on the good, focus on the peaceful protest, focus on, uh, what matters and move forward. So next time, and Jason and I have plenty of stocked up for next episode. Next time, we'll be back to our normal sarcastic selves. But until that time, be good, be kind, love one another, and reach out to your friends.
Yes,
As always,
look,
I'm
bro,
Nikhil Behar.
and I'm Jason Elliott. Listen, be good to one another. We're all in this together. We're fighting a pandemic, and then a protest on top of it, and violence, on top of it. So, it's a testy time. This year has not been a good year. I mean, just putting it mildly. I mean, I've seen all the memes. I've sent you some of them, and
Oh
they're
yeah,
right. But hey, look,
2020 the push.
yeah, but we can make it through. We can make it through this year. I mean, we just got to hold on tight. Strap ourselves in. I mean, we're entering hurricane season too.
Yeah, we have a tropical storm coming up.
Yeah, so I mean, the thing is, we got a lot to worry about. We don't need, people, just causing, unrest, for no apparent reason or, just because, of the violence that's going on. Learn to protest peacefully. Learn to counteract negativity with positivity.
And with that, we'll see you in the funny papers.
Later.